4 a.m. first fruits, and y'all, I'm telling you, Esther 1. This is a chapter by chapter Bible study series. We just started in Esther 1. We're going to be talking about the hidden hand of God in this chapter. I would be as bold to let you know that if you're hopping on a video like this at the beginning of a book, you probably need to join me. There's 2 books in the Bible named after a woman, Ruth, and then Esther. This is very special. The author of this book is unknown. However, people speculate that it could have been Mordecai who actually wrote this book. Verse 1. These events took place during the day of King Ahasuerus, aka King Xerxes. Xerxes is just the Greek rendering for Ahasuerus. Most Bibles say Xerxes and some say Ahasuerus. These events took place during the days of Xerxes, who ruled 127 provinces from India to Kush. In those days, King Xerxes reigned from his royal throne in the fortress of Susa. He held a feast in the 3rd year of his reign for all his officials and staff, the army of Persia and Media, the nobles, the officials from the provinces. He displayed the glorious wealth of his kingdom and the magnificent splendor of his greatness for a total of 180 days. This was post-exile, so the Jews are scattered throughout different areas. This book is introducing King Xerxes, showing that he is obviously impulsive, self-absorbing, loves to flex his wealth. He is having this huge 180 days of a banquet. In my tax bracket, this is the only banquet we're having. Verse 5, at the end of this time, the king held a week-long banquet in the garden courtyard of the royal palace for all the people, from the greatest to the least, who were present in the fortress of Susa. I don't think 180 days is enough. Let's add a week to it. He really wanted to drive it home that he had a lot of power and wealth. White and violet linen hangings were fastened with fine white and purple linen cords of silver rods on marble columns. Gold and silver couches were arranged on a mosaic pavement. I mean, the opulence of this. Verse 7, drinks were served in an array of gold goblets. Reminds me of that show, Love is Blind. Each with a different design. Royal wine flowed freely according to the king's bounty. The drinking was according to the royal decree. There are no restrictions. That's already gonna be a problem. The king had ordered every wine steward in his household to serve whatever each person wanted. Either he wanted them to let loose and drink whatever he wanted, or it's following an existing Persian law that forbade forced drinking. Queen Vashti also gave a feast for the women of King Xerxes' palace. On the 7th day, when the king was feeling good from wine, other translations said merry with wine, Xerxes commanded the eunuchs to bring Queen Vashti out. Here's the reason why he wanted to bring her out. He wanted to show off her beauty to the people and the officials because she was very beautiful. But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command that was delivered by his eunuchs. The king became furious and his anger burned within him. Have you ever been so angry that it feels like someone just lit up a campfire in your chest? This request from the king is a direct command. It is law. If you don't obey, it's kind of a huge deal. People saw her rejection of this. Some people speculate that he perhaps could have asked her to come out in her crown and her crown only. Others speculate that something might have happened where she was just unable to come out. Either way, we all know who's really at work here. Verse 13, the king consulted the wise men who understood the times, for it was his normal procedure to confer with experts in law and justice. The more trusted ones were Karshina, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsina, and Memucan. They were the 7 officials of Persia and Media who had personal access to the king and occupied the highest positions in the kingdom. The king asked, according to the law, what should be done with Queen Vashti, since she refused to obey King Xerxes' command that was delivered by the eunuchs. Memucan said in the presence of the king and his officials, Queen Vashti has wronged not only the king, but all of the officials and the peoples who are in every one of the king's Xerxes' provinces, for the queen's actions will become knowledge to the women and cause them to despise their husbands and say, King Xerxes orders Queen Vashti brought before him, but she did not come. Before this day is over, the noble women of Persia and Media who hear about the queen's acts will say the same thing to all the king's officials, resulting in more contempt and fury. They were mainly concerned with her setting a bad example for the rest of the women within the empire. So here's what they proposed. They proposed to send her away, strip her of her queen label, to make a final decree that every man be master of his own house and speak in the language of his own people. This set up a vacancy for the next queen. What the world may call coincidences, we call the hidden hand of God. Despite King Xerxes ruling over 127 provinces, the man cannot rule over his wife, it seems. So to give this illusion of control, he sends her away and then writes a final decree saying all men should be masters of their own home. This is very interesting because here we have God's name not even mentioned in chapter 1, yet we see his hidden hand working throughout this whole chapter. We have a worldly kingdom who is having to command obedience, the illusion of control, and then we have God who's not even mentioned, yet he is firmly sitting on the throne. God rules without people even knowing it. All we know now is there is a new vacancy for a new queen who will have purpose, and she will be in God's plans. Share in the comments ways that you have seen God's hidden hand in your own life. Things that happened in your life where God's name was not even mentioned, yet you know he was the one at work in that situation. I tell you what, on these studies, we are definitely seeing a theme of God's sovereignty. Join me in the next chapter when we go on a search for our new queen. Thank you for watching this 4 a.m. and I'll see you in the next 4 a.m.